Hello everyone and welcome back. I just got off work now and I had my camera with me, so I thought I would film the Q&A video that I have been planning for a little bit. I have the questions here on my phone and I'm going to answer them while I enjoy this very nice sunset. I'll start with the question that I think I got asked the most last year, which was how many tomato plants I planted in order to get that huge harvest that I got. And I actually was planning to answer to that in a few of the later garden tours, just kept forgetting about it. Once I grabbed the camera and started showing things around, I got distracted. But I did count them while they were still alive, and I planted around 50, but 5 of them died and 45 of them produced fruit. Now some of them I didn't harvest as much fruit from it, especially the ones in the pots, but a few of them produced a lot, or the majority of the harvest. So the ones that were in my backyard and the raised bed that I kept showing you guys until probably November, those produced for a very, very long time. I think there were 8 plants in there and most of them did really good, especially the one by my pear tree, the Costoluta Genovese. I think that's the plant that I harvested the most amount of tomatoes from. So that was really good. And then there was in the plot, they did really good in the beginning, from July to August, and then they started kind of weathering down, as I showed in the garden tours that I posted. So you can see that I slowly started taking the ones that looked sickly or dried out down, and then I kept the ones that are still looking healthy, and I harvested tomatoes all the way until November. Even though my last harvest was mostly of green tomatoes, I ended up also making a green tomato salsa video that I never got to edit and publish, so maybe I'll try to do that maybe this winter. I don't know if you guys would still be interested in seeing, but it was a canning project and I preserved most of the green tomatoes that I got by the end of the season. I fermented a bunch of them to make a green tomato pickle that my Romanian friend had introduced to me from a Romanian shop, and I thought was really good. So I found the recipe and tried to do some myself. I haven't tried them yet because you're supposed to wait 3 to 4 months before you try it, but I can show them to you guys one of these days when I'm home. And I also pickled some green tomatoes and made some fried green tomatoes and stuff like that. So I'm gonna move on to the next question now. It's if I'm going to do any winter sowing this year. I am not. I got this question a lot, especially in the past few weeks. I know that some of you guys are telling me that some of your favorite YouTubers are doing winter sowing. I am not this year because I'm trying to downsize the garden and I do not really have the milk jugs. We don't really drink cow's milk at home or buy big jugs of orange juice or apple juice or something like that. So I don't have the jugs. That would be a bit silly to just buy them to do the videos. And then there's a lot of good resources on YouTube already that you can look for. I think Garden Answerer probably has a really good video about it. If you type winter sowing, I'm sure you're gonna find a lot of things. But I'm not planning to do any winter sowing this year. So the next question is, what drew you to being a chef? And how do you stay balanced at such a demanding job? I always liked cooking, so I come from a family that a lot of people cook. My mom especially is a great cook, so she taught me since I was very young. I always enjoyed cooking or helping out in the kitchen, so that kind of started early. But at the time in Brazil, being a cook, it was not much of a prestigious job, I would say. And I actually was a psychology major for a little bit before I decided to come to the US. And then when I moved here, I started taking some more cooking classes and decided that I didn't want to go back to school in Brazil anymore. I wanted to just go to culinary school. But basically because I always like cooking and I really like eating. Second part of the question is how I maintain balance with such a demanding job. Well, now I work as a private chef, which is a lot better, even though of course there is a recession coming and it is a bit unstable right now, so I'm a little bit worried about the future. But now I can make my schedule and I don't have to work such long hours like I used to work before. But when I worked in restaurants, it was really tough. I worked 10, 12, 14, 16 hours sometimes. I was on my feet. I had a very strenuous job. The kitchen is very stressful. I did that for almost 10 years. I just stopped because of the pandemic. I have to say I did not have much balance then. I used to live in Hawaii, so I was in Hawaii for 7 years of those years that I worked in kitchens, and over there it was a bit easier to cope because on my days off I could go hiking, I could go to the beach, so I didn't feel as stressed. Or even sometimes if I worked a 12-hour day, like at 6 a.m. to 6 p.m., I could still walk to the beach after my shift and sort of sit there for a little bit and just get my feet wet and do a meditation, just breathe, you know, watch the sunset. So it was a little bit easier. When I moved to New York City, moved here for a job in 2018, to work at a 3 Michelin star restaurant, it was rough. It was a lot harder to find balance here because I didn't have the stuff that I like to, you know, being outside and having sunshine all the time. I was kind of to the point of burning out, I guess, when the pandemic actually happened. So I actually don't know how to answer this question about finding a work-life balance if you work in restaurants, especially fine dining where I used to work. I don't know if it's possible, honestly. But as a private chef, it's a little bit easier. As I said, I have my own schedule. It's riskier because sometimes the clients can cancel and you don't know, how much money you're really gonna make at the end of the month. It has its own challenges, but definitely my life balance is a lot better. I don't think I would be able to have the garden if I still worked in the kitchen. I don't think I would ever have started gardening, but it's been much better now for sure for life balance, so I can't really complain. All right, next question. How big is the plot and how did you get that space? Well, the plot, I don't have the specifics with me right now. I'll answer that in another video, but for now I'm gonna answer the second question, which is how did I get the plot? Actually, the plot belonged to one of my neighbors in Queens, and he saw me gardening outside one day and he offered the space for me to use. He said that his dad used to garden there and they kept the space with their family, but they're not gardening there anymore, they don't have time. So if I wanted to use the space, I could, and I could do whatever I want. They have been very generous, honestly. In the first year, they did plant a few things and we shared a lot of the stuff, but last year they kind of let me do whatever I wanted and I had the space all for myself. They also went on vacation for a couple months in Italy. They're originally from Italy, so it was luck, honestly. I was actually at that time looking for places in a community garden and the wait list was insane, at least for the ones I was looking in Queens that are close to my apartment. I was kind of getting discouraged, but then that happened, so I just got really lucky that my neighbor walked in the street and saw me gardening on that day. The sun setting is looking so nice now. Alright, let me see if I can answer one more. There's a lot of questions that are not about gardening. A lot of people ask when Danny and I met and more details about the engagement, the proposal. Well, we met actually in 2019 on their summer solstice on June 21st, and he proposed in June 2 of last year, 2022. We went together for 3 years at a lavender farm. I shared a little bit of it in one of my recent videos too, but it was very nice. We had already been talking about maybe living in the city or having a house, etc., but then he made it official with the proposal, and then we started doing the wedding plans right after, which was one of the things why I kind of didn't post as much here on YouTube by the end of the year last year, but I talked more about that in a previous video that I posted. I'm trying to do one more. Is your YouTube channel monetized, and what do you use to edit your videos? Yes, my YouTube channel is monetized. Thank you so much, guys, for watching and helping me along this journey. And I still use iMovie. I tried to use some other fancier software, but it's very just hard for me because I got used to iMovie. But I'm trying to learn some other ones to get a bit more better quality videos, but for now I still use iMovie. And then one of the ones here is asking about the wedding plans. Well, basically, I can be very short with this. A couple other people asked if I want to grow the flowers for my wedding, but it's going to be something very small and intimate for Danny and I. I really wanted to have somewhere out in nature, have a little ceremony, very small, just for very close friends and family, in a beautiful place where we can be outside. And I wanted to be in the summer, of course, so I can have some nice flowers. So we decided to do it in mid-July. We're going to do upstate at the house that I had my first garden. It's Danny's family's house, and we are going to do in the backyard there with only a few guests. Danny's parents also want to host a dinner in New York City, so the more extended family and some of our friends that can travel can go attend to. So more about that coming, but this is the very summarized version of it. Okay, the sun has just set, so I'm gonna be running out of light soon, so I'm going to finish this video here. Sorry that was a quick one. I thought I was gonna have a lot more time to answer more questions, but I had to keep moving places. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. If you have any more questions, just make sure to leave them in the comment section down below. The next video I'm planning to post is about my garden plants, so stay tuned for that. I hope you're having a great day today, and I'll see you next time. Very awkward to film in public because there's a lot of people just keep looking at you, so hopefully I can make a productive video today. If I didn't